just a little bit more on the standard issues. As we are building up, the foundational issues has been fixed. We've built this minimum security framework, and now we want to go through looking at the network. Have we got the right sort of password policies on the network? Are we doing security updates on the network? Are we monitoring our network devices? Are the switches or the routers or whatever components is on the network, has it been configured? Has it been secured? Has it been updated? And that's often also missed. We often also see items or workstation, server, storage devices that reach end of life. What is end of life? It is no longer supported by the vendor. And I do know in the NHS and all the applications they are using, that's also another problem. There are so many systems that are outdated, and we are connecting to so many various systems. And again, going back to when we offboarding somebody, how often do we check, have we offboarded them on all those applications? How do we actually manage our mobile phone and tablet access? What type of access do we have? And what type of access does our employees have? And do we have any policy around the mobiles, if they are, in example, being jailbroken or there is no PIN on the mobile phones? And what type of access do they have on these? So what we see gratefully in our lives, making our lives a little bit easier, is that insurance are driving the agenda forward to have better policies in place. So mobile device management forces our customers to actually start pushing down a policy on these devices. If you want our company data and access our company data from our mobiles, you need to have our policies in place and installed on the mobile device. And that will mean we're looking at making sure that there are security updates, making sure that you have it's PIN protected, and making sure that you, in example, can remotely wipe it if you lost it. So this is a new trend, and gratefully with Cyber Essentials, it's helping us, and the cybersecurity insurance helping us this agenda. It used to be a very difficult conversation many years back with this small, medium enterprise companies, asking them, we need to start looking at getting a policy on mobile devices, because ultimately, how do we regulate what is on the mobile device? And then one of the other big problems that we often see is there's no retention. People don't really understand what is retention of a file. If I delete the file today, and they would assume, okay, we have backups in place, but the backups, I can recover a file that I've deleted 30 days ago. So the retention, and often we understand that it's almost like compliance, and we can actually restore the file back for 30 days, but that's not actually true. The backups are literally potentially only 14 days, going back 14 days. So do we have an archive service? Do we need an archive service? Do we need more compliance for the industry we are in? How long are we supposed to keep these records? If I delete the file today, would I be able to actually restore it? And what is the retention on that? Password, how do we share our passwords? People using post-it notes. People using the same... Are you guilty of it? So people using the same password when people are onboarding. They never change the password. They don't change the password every 180 days. So obviously for our customers, we're building this whole framework and obviously align it with the National Cybersecurity Centre sort of protocols, and making sure that we change the password and that it's also using complex characters. And then one of the great things that we see these days is obviously supplier due diligence, especially in the world of SMEs. Again, they are surrounded by stakeholders, trusted advisors, working with critical information, might be legal, HR, providing them assistance. And what do they have in place? Because our system is ultimately as strong as our supplier system. And we often see many of these trusted advisors that we have around us actually have nothing in place. And I don't want to say any percentages, but we especially if you're working with smaller companies, like there's this common theme of we do not really need security because it's 1 or 2, 3 staff. And I think nobody can skip any of these, and it's difficult for the one-man band or the freelancer or the potential the services provided to the NHS to get these in place. But you cannot skip it if it's a small organization, even if it's 1 staff member. And just going back to obviously cybersecurity awareness training, phishing simulation, and dark web monitoring are one of the products that we do recommend to our customers. But we also say at the end of the day, let's get the foundational things in place first before we start getting carried away too much on the more modern biometric intrusion prevention, the higher level of services and SIEM solutions. Let's get the foundations in place, and then we strongly know in what we've seen and the experience that we have that 80 to 90% of the risk has been removed. And just going back to email security, obviously we have a big thing about 90% of all the sort of breaches are happening via phishing emails that comes through. And there's obviously, in our world, again, as we take our customers through the journey, we're making sure that they have the best practices in place for DNS, and making sure that people can't act on their behalf. This is often missed. And it's very easy to act on behalf of somebody else, again, in our world.